What's up, Squadron? Aviation has given me a ton of amazing experiences.
Good job there. Nice rock, high wing.
But more importantly, it's introduced me to a whole new family of friends.
Dude, you're killing it. You're having a great day.
So just never give up.
Airport, and then, oh, by the way, I got carb ice while I was flying through, so the engine started running rough. I had to
Join us tonight as we're cleared direct for some hangar flying. I am Bryon Bowman, and this is SuperAero Live.
That's a lot. I mean, a lot of cookies.
What's up, Av Geeks? It's Wednesday, which can only mean one thing. I'm laughing already because tonight's going to be a little weird for you. It's going to be weird for all of us. I'm so excited to be here. You guys are awesome, by the way. Everyone, I'm looking at the chat. It's in a new window, so I'm looking over here. Just Plain Silly's here. Hanger Tales is here. Jason Follas. Ben Singer from Atlanta. Hello. Richard Keys. He and I were chatting today about, he said, did you finally see Top Gun Maverick? I said, yes, it was amazing. Tear. Shed a little tear for Mav. Badger Pilots made it to a live one. And let's see who else is in here. Scrolling through. Scarface. Love you, Scarface. Mostly just because of the name. I say that every week. Waukesha Pilots here. And Brian's here. Everyone is, the gang is just filing in. Canyon K, Clayton Starwalt, Wolf Pilot. How are you, Wolf Pilot? Hopefully at least adequate. Josh Sinclair. Man, you're all in here already. Fly Girl is here. That's really exciting. It's really exciting to see all of you. I'm going to cut this part short, and we're just going to get right to business. So there's kind of a unique thing that's happening tonight. Brian Turner, Just Plain Silly, said, hey, you got to reach out to these cool cats. They're doing a podcast, and they should be on your show. And then he must have been talking to them at the same time, because they said, hey, we hear you're a little bit of a jerk, but mostly fine. You should come on our podcast. And I was like, whoa, crazy idea. What if we had a podcast dogfight? Which is really just means, like, we're going to record their podcast while you guys watch because I'm a huge narcissist. So that's what we're doing tonight. I'm going to pop over to the Zoom stream where they're already recording this. I hope I said something good. I'm still going to be checking the chat. Mike Beatty's here too. I'm going to be checking the chat for questions if you have for our friends up from Minnesota. Let me hit some buttons here. Bleep-de-bloops. Did that work? That looks a little... I need to zoom that in a little bit. There we go. Look who's here! Everybody.
Hi.
Greetings.
Hey.
and I want to
super excited to be here.
Well, I'm super excited to be here. See, that's weird because it's both ways. I wanted to say to my chat, just double check you guys can hear my friends. Just let us know. If you can't hear us, let us know. Okay, we should start with introductions. Or do you just want to start recording your podcast now that we're here?
We can do introductions first. That's fine.
Well, do whatever you would normally do. Pretend that this is not live and I'm just sitting in my basement and we're doing a podcast.
Here's the thing. Turner's been on with us live or when we record, so he knows how this works and how terrible the first couple minutes are. So just bear with us. It's going to be almost professional. It'll be fine. Promise.
You got the headset on, so...
I do. It's because otherwise you get a lot of echo where I'm at. So
yeah,
he's too geeky to bring on his Bose headset.
No, yeah, I haven't got that far yet.
Or his David Clark's.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Well, let's jump into this then. We'll do the recording of the podcast within the recording or the live stream of your YouTube live, and just increase the level of narcissism we have going on here. So
it's very meta.
It is. It really is. So. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Flying Midwest podcast. I'm Jim, one of your hosts. This is Maddie.
Hello.
And Trevor.
Greetings.
So we are pleased to bring you Bryon Dembroski with some little YouTube thing called SuperAero Live. We have been trying to get this together in association with Brian Turner. I drop his name in every one of these episodes if you haven't listened to our podcast before. So he's gotten this together, along with Ryan, and we're just really excited to do this thing. So you ready, Ryan?
Oh yeah, I'm super pumped. And should I say to your your listeners the meta weird thing that's happening right now?
Yeah,
can I explain
think you
that?
should.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So what's weird and meta is that we are actually recording this live on my YouTube channel as an episode of Super Aero Live. So it's like a podcast within it's like Inception. We're like 2 layers deep already, and there's a chat. The chat is going wild. One, the good news is they can hear us all, but two, the background is blurred. Yes, the background is blurred, friends. You can't see me on the podcast, but if you were watching it live, you'd notice that it looks a little different. It's just due to the technical needs of getting this done. But mostly, people are very excited. Just plain silly. Bryon Turner, you just said he's talking to Eric Johnston, also a great aviation influencer. They're podcasting while Ryan is live streaming. This is fourth dimension stuff.
And I think the fact that we're able to talk to them in the middle of this, is that like breaking the fourth wall too?
Oh yeah, it's very Brechtian. Yeah,
Okay.
We're deep. This may be a first ever in YouTube history.
It has to be.
Anyway, I digress. I was making it all about me again. But I'm so excited to be here with you guys and to learn about you. We're neighbors.
We basically are. Yeah, we're basically just right across the border. I do have a question for you before we jump into the real questions. We were just up in the UP in Michigan, and this begged the question of, I had said to Bryon, the fact that Wisconsin hasn't just taken over the UP tells me everything I need to know about that state. Do you care to defend yourself?
Well, why dedicate resources where you don't need to dedicate them? There's nothing up there.
You know what? I think that I would agree with that. Having just been up there, it's just a lot of trees in this one little runway where we landed, and I think that was all that was up there. You can see when Wisconsin stops because then it's just trees.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there, though. Seriously,
it
it's
is
beautiful up there. I don't know if there's like any tactical value to acquiring the UP for Wisconsin, but
it's more lakefront.
That's true. We have like this little I gotta remember that we're all, like, a lot of people are only hearing this. If you look at your hand, your right hand, your thumb is like the little peninsula of Wisconsin. And so we have that, and that's kind of all we need. We don't need all that UP stuff. But that said, one of my bucket list flights is to go do like a circumnavigation of Lake Michigan, and that would involve a lot of UP, Mackinac Bridge, all that kind of stuff. So that's like kind of on, like, since we're talking like Midwest flying Midwest, that's a big thing that I like to do there. So hopefully the people from the UP aren't gonna unsubscribe now that I said that nice thing about.
I did start it, so I think that you can deflect and say it was the podcast guys. This wasn't me. I'm still loyal to you, my UP fans.
You're very aggressive.
I brought it on.
Yeah.
So
these Minnesotans are super aggressive.
That's what we're known for. Minnesota passive
fans.
Aggressive is about it.
Well, then we have to start talking about like Vikings versus Packers. Which...
Oh no!
Did you see Waterloo Jack's new license plate?
Yes.
So he was on with us a while ago. He's a controller. He was in Waterloo, Michigan, and now he's in Detroit.
Iowa.
And so he got his new plates. Or what?
Waterloo,
Iowa. Did I not say that?
Iowa.
Sorry.
Michigan.
Yeah, Waterloo, Iowa. Then he moved over to Detroit. And so he got his Michigan plates, and it says Scolby. His last one said Go Sioux. So, yeah, he's here he's not here to make friends. He's here to win. So,
you're talking a lot about sports sprots.
We shouldn't.
No, I don't. No, I went to the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and I guess I'm a Badger fan, and I will say compared to Minnesota, we have that axe thing a lot more than you guys.
That's why I was just saying we shouldn't.
But that's like the only game a year that Wisconsin doesn't just choke massively. So we can move
minor
on
details
from that. On Wisconsin.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into the next part here because I don't want to talk anymore about Minnesota sports because I'm ultimately going to spiral into some weird depression because we never win anything in the postseason. So anyway, so typically our podcasts start with an icebreaker of sorts to get to know our guests and to get them within the flow of things. Some people have compared it to some short final thing. I don't think it's the same thing because we do it right away and our questions are better. So I think it's going to be.
You
okay.
are. You're like coming out gun.
Is this or is this not a dogfight?
I guess it is a dogfight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, it's cool.
So
yeah.
let's see what you go with this. Worst aviation movie in your opinion?
Worst aviation
The worst.
movie?
The worst. It's easy to say what your favorite one is. What's the worst one in your opinion?
I'm gonna take a cop-out answer to say that there's no bad aviation movie. Anything with planes or anything in the sky, it's all good. No bad airplanes, no bad airplane movies.
All right.
You don't seem
I'm
satisfied with that.
I was hoping for like.
It's a cop-out answer.
What was that one movie that you had said, Trevor?
Top Gun.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
original
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
No, it was some Horizon.
Oh,
I think it's
yes.
actually the one that Turner just did his video on with the accident review.
Oh, that's right.
That movie's terrible.
not New Horizon. It's Above the Horizon or something like that. It's basically it has a Cessna Caravan, and they're going to this island hopping place, and I got 2 minutes into it. I'm like, this is stupid. Click.
Oh, is this that new one?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
I will tell you, I saw I did see the trailer for that, and it looked legitimately horrible. But
it's
still
Horizon
better
Line.
than
That's what it
most. Like that's the thing. Like you got airplanes. I'll stick around. I'll stick around.
Horizon Line. That's the name
Horizon
of it.
Line. Yeah, that sounds
Horizon Line. By the way, I need to real quickly I'm going to interrupt this segment to just apologize to my longtime supporter, RV November 782 Papa. That one runway is his home airport that we were, and I love you. I love you.
Which one, Sidna?
No, I think he's like just over the border.
Okay.
But he's the best, and so but he lives in Wisconsin. So anyway.
He's fine.
I just noticed in the chat he's like, "Oh, see you later, guys." Like
Wait a
I'm
second,
done.
is it
your
Red-
one UV super.
Is
Yeah,
it
I
Red
lost
Wing?
him. Where are you? Where are you, 72 Papa? Throw it in the chat. We'll just keep interrupting the let's keep interrupting the stream. Anyway,
it's fine.
sorry. Let's keep going. All right, so I deflected that one. Hit me.
Let's
with
see. This is
next shot.
This one is you pick one or the other. There is no in between on this one. Otherwise, it for sure is a cop out. Who makes the better pilots, tail wheels or tricycle gear?
Tail wheels.
Tail wheels. All right.
Yeah.
I'll let you take that up with Bryon Turner in the future. If you had any dream aircraft you could fly, what would it be?
To fly or own?
Nope. Owning is way too much responsibility.
Ooh.
So just to fly.
That's a really good one. You maybe
Because-
do have better questions than me.
I was just kidding, but
Space shuttle.
Ooh, that's.
Trevor's
spicy.
going
I
to
like
come
it.
technical. He's making a face. He's making a face like, well, really, technically, that's
It's
a
a-
spacecraft, and
It's a glider. Come at me,
It's
bro.
a
Go ahead.
flying brick. It's a flying brick. You don't really fly. You just point the nose somewhere and it'll go.
Isn't
You
that
have
kind
to
of what
turn.
flying is?
yeah, that's what I do when I fly my airplane. I point the nose somewhere it goes.
Oh, Maddie's popping over to Team SuperAero.
I mean, yeah, it'd be a lot of fun going that fast, and then
Space?
I've been really into this is embarrassing. For some reason I've been really into like watches lately. I don't know if it's like an escapism, like I'm having a midlife crisis, been like researching watches. And
Like
I don't know why.
wristwatches?
Yeah, like wrist
Oh.
like whatever.
Like that
and
one.
yeah, wristwatch. Yeah. And I was doing all this research on the space program and the SR-71 program and all the like different watches they had to use, which were like Bulevas that had like used tuning forks to, because that was the only thing that could be accurate enough at like the G's and the speeds and stuff. So I don't know. That's part of what I think I'm just got like space flight and high speed. I guess if you will not accept the space shuttle, then I would punt over to like the U-2 or the SR-71, like one of those
I
things.
personally want to allow it, but you're going to have to defend yourself to your community if they don't agree with it. I'm good with it.
They're fine.
Okay.
What
Right.
about that? What about that one glider? The Airbus one?
Oh, the Perlin glider.
The Perlin glider, yeah.
I interviewed them at Oshkosh this year. Yeah, that's
That's so
insane.
cool.
Oh, cool.
It's insane.
There you go. There's your real glider. There you go.
And it's basically a spaceship.
Might as well be.
But it's still a glider. It's a legitimate glider this time.
Yeah, it doesn't fall.
I
like
think this space shuttle is a legitimate
I-
glider.
I'm going to allow it.
I never said that was not a legitimate glide. That was Maddie. That was Maddie.
Hey, I didn't say anything. I was just giving alternatives that are similar.
I don't know.
Yeah,
you
they're very
guys.
similar.
Okay. Space.
I'm gonna help you
There's
out
not a
here.
lot of stuff that goes in space.
I'm going to help you out, and we're going to go to the next question.
Yep. Hey, there you go.
If you could meet and have a conversation with any aviator, dead or alive, who would it be? I think we broke him.
There's so many different ways you could go with that.
Uh-huh. That's why we asked it.
The one that came top of mind, which is just me flexing in a weird way.
Bryon Turner.
So,
Oh, come on.
well, okay.
Let him answer.
So I have been really lucky to interview a lot of great aviators on my show, and the one I've said previously has been like one person that I really want to get on is Paul Bertorelli, the legend from AvWeb, because I just feel like I could learn a lot from him, from living. That's like the living segment. But you know, the flex answer, the narcissistic flex answer is I once had the opportunity to, I think I had like 0.1 hours in a Boeing Stearman Speedmail that was also once flown by Lindbergh.
Oh.
In like
That's
his name
cool.
is in the logbook, like way back, right? And so I always thought it would be fun to meet him and not talk about any of the obvious stuff, but just talk about the speed mail and be like, what do you think of that bird over there, Charles? Like, you know what I mean? Like that would be kind of a cool fantasy interaction, but that, I don't know.
Interesting.
No, that's cool. I like that. Except for
I don't
the
think that's a bad answer. I like
That's
it.
not bad. No, we'll accept it.
I love that you're judging all the answers. It's
Oh, a fun
getting
story.
sweaty over here.
We also not so secretly judge your answers. I didn't tell you that at the beginning. It feels like a lot of extra pressure.
It's fine.
So we let you
By the
figure it out
way,
yourself.
I wanted my chat lit up with that.
Chats. Okay.
They said Hughes, Howard Hughes would be a good one. Grant Hooks says Goose. He's still alive technically. You could talk to him.
I watched that movie. He died.
Thanks, John.
Amelia Earhart. A lot of votes for Earhart. Eric Johnson says Howard. Howard. I'm mixing up the names. Mr. Hoover is who he's talking about there. Maine Marin says Waldo Pepper. So a lot of great historical aviators in the chat right now.
What I thought was really cool
All
is
good answers.
when I was big into the fly-in scene. Oh gosh, I met Paul Tibbets, an old gay.
That's cool.
Talked to him for a good few minutes. That was pretty cool.
I don't know. I got to talk to Captain Joe, and it was like the highlight of my life. So I don't know. It was kind of great.
Well, he is pretty handsome, Maddie.
He's also just really nice.
I hear he's
Jeez.
pretty nice too. Yeah.
Brian Turner
So what's number 5?
Leslie Nielsen.
Yes.
Ted Stryker. I see that in there too.
Yep.
Ted Stryker.
What's number 5, Jim?
Number 5. Favorite YouTube content creator.
Ooh.
Now, this is a lot of pressure. I get that because there's a couple of them watching right now.
Egging up. No.
Well played, sir.
Oh man, that is so. They're all my. It's like, which baby is your favorite?
Now that I'm thinking
We
about it,
have
that
one.
maybe is not a very fair question. Having seen the couple of YouTubers that are in here.
No, I mean, I'll answer it anyway. It's definitely not Bryon Turner. He is definitely,
He says with such confidence.
he is definitely not like a brother from another mother to me at all. And Eric too, like definitely not at all friends with him. Don't like him at all. I'm seeing some people are trolling me in the chat. I'm gonna ignore those trolls. But I think, you know, I would shout out to like some of the OGs, right? Like when I was getting excited about being on YouTube, when I was getting excited about making
Flight
content
chops.
and about flying, yeah, like like Steve has been on the show and he's been so supportive of SuperAero, and we've collabed a couple of times on some stuff, and like just a real good dude. You know, I would be lying if I mean, like, I'm wearing a Trent Palmer shirt. Right, I don't even watch. I mean, candidly, like I've been like nervous about asking Trent to come on my show, and I don't even watch his content anymore. Like I don't have time. But like if I ever need to just like get inspired, like Trent stuff, the one that a lot of people don't know about, I think, which is interesting, is like Chris Palmer, another just like bro who's been like super kind and generous with his time. Even this is mostly just to get it under Bryon Turner's skin. Josh Flowers. Like,
exceptional.
You know, and the funny thing, I think I said this to Josh, like privately, right? But like when he first started making content, I hated it. I was like, I can't watch this. And watching him grow as a filmmaker, as a content creator, and someone who works in, I work in the film industry, mostly TV commercials, but I work in the film industry. So to watch someone like learn how to tell stories, learn how to visually tell a story, and you know, obviously with like scripting and things like that, watching Josh grow has been really exciting. So I don't know, I didn't narrow it. That was super diplomatic, but it was that's. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of those OGs are the reason we're all here, right? And like, think about how many people. I mean, even with your show, right? As it's growing, right? Like every person that's increasing aviation participation, that's huge, right? And so if you think about how many, like, think about Josh and Chris and Trent and Steve, and like how many pilots have they created?
So
like, that's amazing.
Story.
Yeah.
You know, I brought this up many times. Josh Flowers is one of those guys way back when I was on my first deployment. He was just coming out with content, and I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Asking your girlfriend out to, was it prom or something like that, way back in the early days when he was learning how to fly in the 152 or whatever, and got me back into aviation. I mean, it's just like sitting in Afghanistan, I'm like, let's watch some YouTube videos. Of course, it took a lot of bandwidth, but I mean, it just kind of took away from where we were. So, you know, I've told Josh this many times, a lot of props. Like that was
a lot of props.
Well done, Trevor. Well
how do you
done.
like that?
That was good. I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, that was the end of my thought.
Yeah,
That's the end of her.
I think it's huge. I think it's huge. I think it's huge.
Well, I think a little bit towards, not to say YouTube content creators, but Chris Palmer for me was one of the first aviation podcasts I listened to.
Yeah.
And listening to him put some of his podcasts together, and again, it's another one where you listen to it grow. I mean, we're not like, as is going to be painfully obvious here as we continue, we're not professional journalists. We're not, in the game of, like, as a profession, putting stuff like this together. But to listen to other people like that who put things together has been kind of some of our inspiration too. We wanted to take our product and make it more local, just because the aviation community, I think, in the Midwest specifically is
kind of forgotten about.
It's, well, not necessarily forgotten about. I mean, that's part of it, but you've got people on the East Coast, West Coast, down in Florida. But the Midwest, there's just so many cool stories of people doing cool things. And that's where we wanted to focus. So
I mean,
and-
dude, EAA, like the heart of aviation is obviously in Oshkosh. It started in Milwaukee, Hales Corners, Wisconsin, right? Like it's like this is where a lot of this stuff found its footing. So
yeah,
well, and
Kansas, baby. Air
well,
capital of the
think
world.
think about aviation in general. The Midwest, you can fly 500-600 miles east or west, north or south, and you get marine environment, you get mountains, you get plains, you get humidity, you get cold, you get everything, every sort of flying adventure you can get in the Midwest. It doesn't matter where you're at. You even down here in Arkansas, the Ozarks. I mean, I've never flown in mountains like that before, and we're trolling some Delta executives boat property right on the river as we're going 300 feet off the deck. It's just kind of cool stuff. But you can get a lot of that stuff, the East Coast, the West Coast, really dividing the whole world. But in reality, you don't have to travel that far if you're in the Midwest. You don't have to travel that far to see the same stuff that the people in the East Coast, West Coast. Now, yeah, you don't get Tangier Island, but you get Madeline, which I think
Madeline Island is a
arguably
bucket
is
list
better
for me. That's a
Sault Ste.
bucket
Marie,
list one for me.
you're going up, if we're going up into the Great Lakes, yeah, you'd probably freeze your butt off if you jump in the lake,
Oh,
early
you die.
spring. Well, yeah,
Just straight
but
up.
I didn't want to be morbid,
No, I mean that's the
You
one
gotta
thing.
tell how it
Everyone's
is
like,
sometimes.
everyone after Oshkosh is like, I'm just gonna fly over the lake. It's like, guys, like even in July, you've got like 10
That's it.
minutes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my little safety PSA. Go around.
You can always go around.
You can always go around.
The other great thing about the Midwest is there's copious amounts of corn to put Cessna 150s or 152s or whatever on their backs in. That's also super good around here.
Yep.
You don't have that
Yeah.
a lot
Are
of
we
other
adding
places.
Dan Grider here?
I
Well,
didn't
it's
say
better
any.
than,
I didn't
Trevor
say any
Jacobs.
names. I didn't say any names.
Just look at all of the emergency fields you can find
A lot of fields.
Oh, yeah.
everywhere.
Trevor
I go-
Jacobs comes to mind.
I go
Trevor
out with my
Jacobs, come
students.
on.
Good grief, Trevor. I go out with my students and they're like, oh yeah, I know we have to go find the best place to land. I was like, oh no. Oh, whatever will we choose? That cornfield or that cornfield? It's all fields. There's no bad
Yeah,
place
it's not which one. It's which one's the best one.
Yeah.
Right. That takes a little more skill.
But like a lot of people, other places don't have an option. They're just like, oh,
Exactly.
that's the one place, and we're like, oh, like are the rows with the wind or against the wind? Like,
Was it just plowed? Did they just harvest the corn?
Mhm.
There
How
are
about-
decisions to be made, but
How big
Right.
is that economic impact? That's the number one question.
cheapest, softest place to land.
There you go. So I think we're going to jump into our actual questions, but do you want to go back and forth? Maybe you can ask us some questions for your stuff, and
No.
we can duel it out. Or do you want to just do the podcast?
Well, let's just roll with it. I mean,
All right.
I was gonna ask you guys why you started the podcast. You already answered that.
All right. Well,
We're
we'll
You're
jump.
way ahead. You're ahead of the curve. You're ahead of the curve. This is great.
Well, let's ask you. How did you start your channel?
Oh gosh. So let's take half a step back. I was trained. Got my private pilot license. I think it was 2012, and I was sitting in the pattern in a J3 Cub in like January or something. One of the few days that it was like warm enough to even like get it to turn over. And my instructor was like, you do video stuff, like, you should figure out a way to get people to pay you to fly. And I was like, that sounds like a commercial rating. He's like, no, like there's probably a way you could do it with content, because you're getting paid to make content, not fly, right? That's the very important differentiator, FAA.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting, cool. And then I just kind of wished and dreamed about it. I shot a couple pilot episodes that I've never released. I have a lot of very supportive friends who were like putting up with these crazy ideas of like multi-cameras, wanted it to be like Top Gear or whatever. And now she's my business partner, but my friend Lynne one day was just like, you know what? Like, we're going to like get some GoPros and throw it on your plane. And we're just going to do it, because you're just sitting here trying to make like these perfect TV episodes. And like, takes too long. Like YouTube, like screw it, just like go for it. So we made a video together. Took her for her first airplane ride, which separately, like, holy cow, everybody, if you're a pilot, take people for airplane rides. Like, the joy, she's in the intro of SuperAero Live. She's the one that's laughing when we take off. And, like, that laugh every week, and, you know, we're very good friends now. We own this company together. Like, that, her laugh and that, like, little piece of joy is always, like, really inspiring. So it was like a standard vlog channel for a long time, and it would go in fits and spurts, and my wife and I kept having babies, and so it kept like stopping for a while and then starting again and stopping. And then COVID, like, whoa, that was a thing we all had to many of us lived through. And that, like, I was just freaking out. I was like, oh, I'm going to go crazy with these 2 kids in this house. I mean, I love my kids, but, like, holy cow, this is going to get intense. And I needed a project. And so, like, I ordered these lights that you could sort of see on the Zoom stream here. I ordered, they were like, I didn't even matter if they were good. It was just, like, whatever was the last stuff in the Amazon warehouse before it was all just, like, hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes or whatever. And just started calling aviator friends and just being like, I gotta have a project, so let's do this live show and just see what happens, because I can't fly. We don't know, you know, I have a shared aircraft, and in the early, like, COVID days, we were like, I don't know, if I go fly that thing, am I gonna die? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want everyone to take a step back to the beginning of COVID and how
January of 2020,
how much we didn't know, right? So imagine in that context of, like, I'm going to be stuck in the house, right? Let's start this thing. And what was cool about it, so that began SuperAero Live, and what was really cool about it is the silver lining is, well, you start calling people that have jobs, you know, in PR or whatever, like the Thunderbirds, right? And I have a connection, a good friend of mine, Steph Strickland, who's been on the show a couple times. She's connected with the Thunderbirds, and I was like, hey, super long shot, like, do you know anyone over there? And she's like, this is a super long shot, but I got nothing to do. Let's send an email. You know, and so, like, we through some negotiations and some connections and stuff, like, you know, the PR officer of the Thunderbirds was like, I kind of want to make it clear that, like, if it weren't for this pandemic, like, we would not have time for you. Right? But it's a pandemic, and we need eyeballs, right? So let's, like, go. Like, you seem trustworthy. Let's go. Let's do it. You know, and they trusted me, and that was really great. The Air Force trusting me, and so that's the beginning. You know, now you guys, this weird behind the scenes podcast thing is episode 98. So it's been like 2 years now, and like almost 100 episodes, and so that's, yeah, just like a pandemic project. That's the short answer.
That's cool.
I like it. It's really cool, actually. How many people have just sprung into different projects or different career paths or this or that because of the pandemic? There are some positives that came out of it. There's a lot of it that was a pain in the ass, but
Yeah.
but there's some really cool things that could come out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny in the chat here, people watching, you know, one of the things people are talking about is, like, the community that we kind of built, and I would credit, like, man, getting me through this whole craziness, you know, like, through that, you know, like, we lost people, I got laid off from my day job, you know, before I started my company, like, all these, like, really big hits, right, were happening during that time, and we built just kind of, like, it feels like magic to me, this, like, community of people that watch the show, and they've all, like, supported me, and I feel totally grateful, right, and that, like, that helped me get through, right? Just, like, having a group of people to, like, connect with every week, and be like, all right, this is the thing we're doing, like, I haven't had a haircut in 10 months, but, like, we're gonna, you know what I mean? Like, that was part of it too. So I don't know. just worth calling out because I see some people in there saying that was meaningful for them, and it was definitely meaningful for me.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the nice thing about the pilot community is that by and large we take care of each other. Yeah, we cut each other's throats every now and then, but
Bryon Turner. Excuse me.
Well, I was going to say more Trevor Jacobs, but I mean.
Oh,
sorry.
Are we not done with that?
I mean, that dude, but I'm going to interrupt and say that dude's not part of this community, man.
I agree.
No, he's not.
He's not an
definitely
aviator.
not.
He does not have the right. He's not part of this family. You wouldn't do that.
I agree. I agree. But the point is that we can all kind of congregate together and share stories, and now we're encouraging people to figure out how to get their ATP mins. That's the big thing, trying to get people to get to their next level. Hey, I just got my student pilot certificate. Back when I was going through pilot training, I never had a cool student pilot certificate. It wasn't until I actually got my ticket punch that hey, I actually got a real one in the mail. And a lot of us that have been back, what was it, 2017, 2018 when those things came out, from pre to that, when your certificate still had your social security number on it. You have these communities that you try to bring together, and we can kind of prop each other up and give each other encouragement. That's the big thing is, I don't know if I can do this. Sure you can. Why not?
Yeah. If it was whoa, cut that part out. If it was easy.
Oh, no. That's blooper content. That stays
If it
in.
was easy, anybody could do it, right? Like, that's the other thing. But you can't, it takes a village, right? Like, being a parent, like, holy cow, I was like, oh, we'll be fine. Like, we need, it's like 100 people to raise a kid. Let me flip the script on you. I mean, so, like, talk to me about, you guys already talked about the why, like, you wanted to, like, get more awareness of as partially. But I'm curious, and there's 3 of you, so it could maybe tighten up the answers better than I did. But like, like where did it start for the 3 of you in terms of like just like this craziness?
Do you want me to go take it, guys?
Go ahead, Jim.
I was a little late to the gamer, so.
It started first with me and Trevor. We have a mutual friend named Seth, who I think both of us have been talking separately in our own little silos of the world about, hey, maybe it'd be cool to start an aviation podcast, kind of in this same space that we were talking about. I think, and Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that yours was a little bit more in the scope of trying to be a little educational, mixed in with the other stuff, and I was more along the lines of having it be something a little social, having it be that space where we can tell these stories about these different aviators in our community. So the 2 of us got together from that, and then we recorded an episode, and Trevor's like, hey, I want to bring this friend of mine, Maddie, on. She's a CFI. We can do this little CFI minute where we just have her cover a CFI topic every episode. She did it once. It died, but Maddie's still here all the same. But we kept, Maddie came on, and I think the chemistry not that me and Trevor were doing bad, in my opinion, but Maddie brought this certain chemistry that really fused it all together, and I'm like, well, this is the one component that's really gonna push us. I'm sorry, but Maddie.
Wow, I never thought it was so important.
But
amazing.
But I mean, the 3 of us just the 3 of us have just continued down this road together, and we've frankly, I do a lot of the production stuff. So I'm the one who's in the background. Once we do the recording, I'm the one who will actually do all the editing, piece all the stuff together, and put it out. But I'm also in the background trying to find people to talk to, looking for stories and reaching out to people. And I've been really surprised. Just sometimes we'll reach out to somebody kind of like you said with the Thunderbirds. This is a long shot. No one's going to get back to us. And we've gotten some really cool people. And like, I can't believe that worked.
No, I looked through your previous episode list. I have not had time to listen to all of them yet, but like
neither has Maddie, and she's on.
But like, you've got people that I really want. Like you've had amazing guests. Like you've really got it. It's worth checking out, folks. There's my stamp.
We appreciate that.
We have worthwhile content.
That's where, and that's the other thing. The 3 of us are just a couple of average aviators who come together and like to talk about aviation and share the stories with others. And if other people want to listen to it, that's great. But we're just having a good time.
Jim, speak for yourself. I'm above
Trevor is miserable most of the time, but we cut out a lot of that out, so no one really knows.
I think you got to keep that in. You got to keep it real. Folks are asking in the chat. Sorry, before Trevor and Maddie talk. Sorry, brain, no, not working. People are asking how often are you guys releasing episodes?
So it's once every, pretty much every other week. We try to do it. So we release content. That very next week, we try to get an interview done. And then the following week, we try to do news and events, try to get people to come together. And then Jim does his magic, and the rest is, as I say, his history.
I wish I had like the ability to just go poof and like make myself disappear from the screen to show my magic, but I'm not that kind of magic.
I think I could probably do that on mine.
I'm sure
get rid of you guys completely.
Like gone.
Jim does a lot of fantastic work, so the editing that he does take a while, especially if we're really chatty, like most of the time. So props to Jim for doing
90% of the time.
90% of the time we're just goofing off. So yeah, so our content ends up being, our podcasts are about an hour long. Bi-weekly. We usually try to get them out. Sometimes we have bonus content that comes out every once in a while, and that'll be as it comes. So
like Kyle Franklin.
Yeah,
Kyle Franklin.
More often the bonus content comes out when we we just did an interview with Kyle Franklin, and we published that last weekend. And as I'm editing it, we try to keep the episodes to about an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, but I don't like to go much more beyond that. So I'm looking at the timestamp. I'm like, I'm at 55 minutes and we're just getting into it. So I'm like, we're going to cut this. It's going to be 2 episodes. So that's where our bonus episode is going to come out, because Kyle just gave us like an hour and a half, 2 hours of great content. So we're going to be really easy for me to sit down now and just edit the rest of that and push that out as a bonus episode next week. And then we'll have you, this is within our schedule. You are we just released an episode. Now we're talking to a guest, which is you. And then we will do a little bit of we typically do like a news and events thing that we'll record together. And that's that's the next week. And then we'll release, if any of that made any sense.
So we interact with each other. We interact with each other once a week, pretty much.
Yeah.
But
God, I hope you like each other.
I hope so too. It's been almost a year. So
what's great about this is it's just all me. It's just me. I don't have to count on anybody. I don't really have to care if anyone likes it. Just do it.
We like it, so.
Well, that's very good.
I mean, we kind of do the same thing, but we do have to interact with each other to do it. Yeah. So, if anybody listens to us, that's the different part. I don't know if anybody listens to us, but
I can tell how many people listen by the app. But
oh yeah, that's right. You have analytics.
But the reality is the reason why we do it is do this is because right, English is so hard. Is because we like talking about aviation. Like Jim said, if you want to listen, great. We're happy to have you here. We're happy to hear your experiences. Hey, I just got soloed. Hey, I just passed my instrument check ride. Hey, I just got my commercial. I got my first job as a freight dog. A lot of these cool things. Hey, if you want to be part of it, hey, we're part of the community. We want to highlight the community. If we're not your cup of tea, that's fine. But we get to talk about, aviation. We get to, and that's that dynamic, that conversation that we get to drive. And I think that's key, is that we want people to listen to us, but at the same time, we're not for everybody. And I think that speaks volumes to being real. I mean, I've never met Jim in person because
that's right
on two sides of the world. But I've met and flown with Maddie. She says she's a terrible pilot.
When I was only pilot. Your editor. I was his editor before we were friends. Yeah. Then we became friends, and then we flew together, and now we do a podcast.
Yeah. But the reality is we all have different backgrounds. We all have different experiences, and we all still have the same I'm blanking. COVID does really wonders for the short-term memory thing.
Yeah. Blame it on COVID.
Keep your checklist handy.
Yeah, that's right. We have this dynamic that's strictly aviation, and we love sharing it.
Common ground. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes, common ground. Thank you, Maddie.
No problem.
That's why you're my editor.
A shared taxiway. A shared heading.
Shared runway.
A common
Radial.
common tailwind.
Yeah, there you go.
Parallel runways? Maybe?
There you go. Yeah, we could riff this all night. Anyway.
So, let me ask you this question. What challenges have you faced in that time frame of creating your content? When you first started off during COVID through where you're at today, what kind of challenges have you faced?
I mean, like, truth time, like, the biggest problem for me is that so obviously, like, I mean, maybe you guys, I think you're probably enough episodes in to feel this way. Like, it's a slog sometimes, right? It's hard to, like, keep it going, to find guests.
Yeah.
Sometimes guests are bailing, and sometimes people are not. There have been episodes where I've done it's just been me, because like someone bails at the last second. We had someone who won't be named, like, fell asleep, right? Like, instead of showing up, like, so all this stuff happens, right? That's all. Those are all fine things, right? I think that's all, like, tactical content creation stuff, and it's just part of it. I think for me, the hardest part, I mean, the thing I'm most grateful for is it's kept me connected to aviation while I've stepped away from flying. Basically, COVID happened, I stopped flying, then it's like the cascade. Okay, now the kids, now now I'm starting a business, now I whatever, I need to focus on this, that, and the other thing. And now I'm sitting here like, oh, like, I accidentally let my medical expire, like, now I've gotta go get the medical, gotta get current, gotta, like, all that. It's that mountain gets higher and higher. And so that's been the hardest part for me, is, like, to get out, like, to be, it's weird. It's like, I'm trying to think of a PG way to explain it.
Kind of stay relevant.
Yeah, that, and then separately, like, there's this thing dangled in front of me every week that I'm not doing right now, that I really, really want to do. So, but the flip side is, if I didn't have SuperAero, like, I would probably have fallen away. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go buy a $10,000 watch. I don't know. It's a BS thing, right? Like, I wouldn't have the same goals. I wouldn't stay connected. And so, and it's also separately given me a lot of great opportunities, right? Like, I announced for National Stoll now. I just did a week of working for EAA, interviewing people on Boeing Plaza, and that looks like it's going to be a repeat gig for me now. So, like, nice. That's all because of this, right? Like, that's all because of this stuff. But yeah, the hardest part has been, like, actually flying. Like, I just miss being in the air, right? Like, that's like, it's hard to be away from it. But anyway, Maddie, come down to Milwaukee and teach me how to fly again.
Two problems with that. I am currently in Kansas, so I would be coming up, and also
fine. Come up to Milwaukee and teach me how to fly again.
I don't know how to play a tail wheel. I don't have my tail wheel endorsement.
I don't have a tail wheel. I got a 172. Oh. It's fine.
Oh, heck! I know how to fly those now. Yes, perfect.
It's fine.
I say now because I'm actually not. In my entire aviation career before I started teaching, I'd never really touched a Cessna. So.
That was a badge of honor for me for a while until I bought into a Cessna. I was like, I never flown a Cessna. You guys are boring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've got my opinions about them, but they're planes. They fly, so
Cool.
Yeah, I can teach you how to fly.
True story. They're planes and they fly.
They are planes and they fly like planes. I can make that honest assessment.
It's true.
Can
Accurate.
You? Yes. Trevor, yes, I can. Stop it.
So we had a comment from one of our faithful listeners. Said we're supposed to ask about the J3s. What does that mean?
The joke with the audience is that every episode I'm in, I make sure to mention that I've trained in J3s, talk about J3 Cubs. It's like I can't not talk about it. So I have a love affair with the J3 Cub. It is what I trained in, learned how to. I think I already mentioned it this episode.
Yep, you sure did.
Yep, I totally
That's
did
why
that.
I assumed you had one.
Yeah, right. So I trained in them. I actually made a movie. It's on YouTube about the 75th anniversary of the Piper Cub. They flew 75 of them from Hartford, Wisconsin to Oshkosh. So I made a little like documentary film about that. So it's like definitely like a near and dear to my heart thing. It's funny. Like as I get older, the mission, like we all sit and fantasize about our pilot mission. If we aren't professional like working pilots, right? Like we sit and fantasize about it. And as I've gotten older, it's gone to like, okay, like is it a Cherokee 6? Is it something that I can put the kids and a bunch of baggage in to go someplace together? Or when I took an amazing trip, took the kids to Disney World in March. And while I'm there, I ran into a pilot buddy at the same resort. And I was like, how did you get here? He's like, oh, I flew my Mooney down. And we figured out that he beat us. Like his like door to door and our door to door, his door to door was shorter and a little cheaper in the Mooney than ours was on Southwest. So it was like, that mission keeps popping up. It's like, okay, like cross countries, speed, getting places, whatever. But in the end, like even when I'm flying, I love the 172 club I'm in right now. And I could get on a whole separate soapbox about flying clubs. Like that's just like, that's going to save aviation. But like, J3, man, like, when I'm flying my 172, a lot of times I'm sitting there going, man, I wish I was in a J3 right now. 70 miles an hour, uncomfortable with the door open. Like, I don't know. It's like riding a motorcycle in the sky, right? It's like, it's just a different kind of flying. So the obvious answer is to have both, by the way. But in the meantime, yeah, I don't know. I'm like Joe Costanza, that guy, the J3, he's a Spirit Airlines captain. He's I think his social stuff's bananas with like a lot of S's. Like that guy, like I could lose a week on his TikTok.
That guy right there has brought back the golden age of aviation. Mm-hmm. I think because just his camera, his videography is like videography.
That's a word. Yep.
That's an accurate. Good. Thanks.
Yep. You didn't say videography.
Videography or
right.
Yeah, but anyway, his cameras and the way he's going into these short, grass strips with fog and seeing the wind vortices around the wingtip. I mean, the guy's genius, and it's just awesome. I'm with you on that one, Ryan.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. So yeah, that's the J3 thing.
I'm going to confess something here about Cubs in general. I think the only time we've mentioned Cubs on this podcast was on our April Fool's episode, where we advertised it as part of a Nordo fly-in, where basically radios were not were prohibited at this fly-in, and I think it ended with "Come on down and crash the party," something like that.
I forgot about that.
Talking about the Piper Cub drivers that cut you off on the pattern because they're not on the radio, something like that.
Yeah, that is a thing that can happen. The truth is, you just put a handheld in that sucker and you're ready to go. Like,
yeah. But you still get
do that.
Those few who don't. So that's always fun.
That episode, by the way, was the infamous introduction of Ryan Turner into this podcast.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
You're welcome for that, by the way. Hi, Ryan. I'm sorry I didn't make it to that one thing at Oshkosh.
Don't
I hope you're
encourage
not
him.
mad still.
Oh, SOS Brothers?
Yeah.
Oh, you would have met me there.
Shoot. Yeah, sorry. I biked and I had to get home. I left my dad all alone. It's our thing, going to Oshkosh together. And I kind of just abandoned him and I felt really bad. So yeah.
Oh yeah, Bryon and I were we were attached at the hip at SOS for a
Oh,
lot of
really?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to
He
go.
says
I
hi,
really
Maddie,
did.
in the chat, and in my chat
Aw.
he says hi, Maddie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm that lame.
kudos on Maddie for taking care of the elderly.
Oh my goodness.
Trevor, my dad listens to this podcast. You
I'm
jerk.
kidding.
Good night, everybody.
How old could your dad be, though?
He's
You look.
66.
Oh my
That's not that
gosh.
old.
I'm kidding. I jest. I apologize. That was actually kind of a low
He's
blow, but-
66.
He's-
He's old. He's like my
too old to
brother's
kick your
almost
ass.
that old.
I had to get Maddie to laugh for some reason. You know, it's just
Uh-huh.
that.
Wow.
God, so you went after my dad?
The
I'm going to ask some
elderly.
real
Trevor.
questions now to move us away from this.
Good
Yeah,
train
hit me
wreck.
with another one. Come on, throw me another one, quick.
Please.
Eject.
What's the most memorable event you've had as a result of your content creation? You said that you're doing some of these stool competitions now, and you're
Yeah,
you did some interviews at AirVenture.
yeah. I mean, that stuff's been really amazing. Like the national stole being the. I don't know if it's fair to say I'm like the guy. There's always two of us. I'm probably the one that does it the most though, for national stole, and so I've been so honored to be part of that team and watch that sport grow, and that's been pretty cool. I just found out today I'm going to be headed there for the finals, this year's series finals in Texas, Lone Star Stole. So that's like really cool. The Oshkosh thing this year was definitely like a pinch me thing. Like it was like standing in the middle of Boeing Plaza with like a microphone and like having like at the end of the week I got to interview a pilot named Fungus, and Fungus is the squadron
Wow.
commander of the Navy's F-35 training squadron.
Oh, wow.
And so we're like standing in front of the F-35, you know, I think it's the C variant, Charlie variant with the bent wings, and like I don't know how many people, hundreds, maybe hundreds and hundreds of people, maybe more, you know, or same thing actually. National Stole, like it's Sun and Fun. We do the Stole demos. I've announced those, and that's like thousands of people there. But anyway, you're standing in front of an airplane with this like honest to goodness like real American hero, right? Who also looks hot as I almost swore, you know, all these fighter pilots with their like, you know, G-force bodies, and I'm like this like tubby like kid from Milwaukee. But anyway, so like, you know, standing there next to this guy talking about what the F-35 can do, what it means for our country, what it means, you know, for all that stuff. It's like totally insane experience. I mean, on the vlog side, even before SuperAero Live, it was like, you know, there's a video on my channel called I tasted a stealth fighter. I think it's what it's called. I tasted a stealth fighter, and that
I
was the
think
same.
I saw the title for that. I hadn't watched it
Yeah,
yet.
and it's like I got to watch I didn't think it was gonna be cool, but I got invited to like watch the F-35s like start up and taxi off, in like that hot section where everyone's like armed and like ready to drop you if you cross a rope on the ground, and like that was like a truly once in a lifetime experience. You know what I mean? Like that's stuff that does not happen to normal people, and really grateful for that. And then yeah, like people in the chat are talking about what was interesting is, you know, we do this little Zoom after show, very similar to this, like with the audience, and because all these random people have been on the show, like I've had like one night the Thunderbird 3 Major Brewer like popped into the Zoom and was just like, oh hey guys, like let's talk about airplanes. Like that is like insane.
Like, yes.
That's insanity, right? Like I don't know how to like reconcile that. And so that's been really amazing. And I've been very grateful for that. The thing again, like Oshkosh this year, National Stole this past year, is like, man, you know, like, you know, there are these moments where you're like asking like any of the fighter pilots, you know, asking them like, what's advice that you would give to like a young person to like pursue their dreams, or fighter pilot or otherwise. and to see these people that have like achieved the pinnacle of their profession, and not just the fighter pilots, right? It's the same thing with like the C5 pilot, like all these people who are just like top of their game, right? Hearing them like be able to like really concretely look right into the eyes of like a little girl, 5-year-old, 6-year-old girl at the rope, like looking at the stealth fighter and being like, you can do this. If you want this bad enough, you can have it. It's like, and that, it's a very complicated thing, right? There's a lot of like, life is not actually that easy, right? Yeah. There's all these things in our society that make that not actually true, but in that moment, it's true, right? In that moment, that spark is true. And so that has been something that's been like floating. I don't know, maybe I'm getting too deep for your podcast, but that's the stuff that's like, whoa, yeah. What is happening? Like, here's where I am. This is real. And that's hard. That's hard to reconcile. So anyway, I feel like I'm yapping away a little bit too much, but
no, you're good.
That's what we do on this.
Yeah, that is literally what we do. And I think, going off of that, there is an element of truth to that. And sometimes I think the biggest thing is that's all they need to hear, is especially kids, kids, like, I didn't know I could be a pilot. Like, literally, I got sat down at an air show, mind you. So there were planes everywhere. Like, I know they existed, but I got sat down by a friend of my dad's, who was a retired Delta pilot, and he's like, you should fly. And I'm like, what? People don't just do that, Chuck. Like,
Chuck?
What do you mean? Like, me? I'm going to be an English major. What are you talking about? And now here I am. I'm a flight instructor. Like, although that might be a tiny step for some people, like, and when you're at the airlines and stuff, like, I cannot fathom the fact that I am here. And to the, and that can just that nudge that say, hey, you can like do this, just that little bit can be like changing somebody's entire life,
Yeah,
so I think there is a cool element to that. Yeah,
these moments like they stack up, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and it, I don't know. Anyway, ask me something I can make jokes about.
What is your?
Maddie,
here I got.
Maddie knows what
the
next question is, and I think it's hilarious that you just said, "Tell me something I can make jokes about." Ask the question, Maddie.
Oh, okay. It's not this one, but
Oh,
I have another one.
Come on.
All right, go ahead. Fine. Ask your question, and just know that when we ask this question, it's going to make sense in a few minutes. Just go ahead, Maddie.
Go ahead.
Okay, wait. I don't want to. I just want to say, I was on the Bro Pilots Twitch stream once, and their standard interview question they ask everyone is, "Tell me about a time you pooped your pants." So as long as it's not, and I answered it, and I don't want to do that again. So if that's where you're headed, Maddie, I'm out.
No, I'm not going. No. You do not have to tell us about the one time we all know you pooped your pants. No.
Just
I was going to ask kind of the.
Are there more times you'd like to tell us about?
No, I'd like to
plead the fifth.
I'd like to exit this formation, and I'd like to knock it off.
I was going to ask.
Rejoin.
Okay.
Rejoin on downwind. There you go.
Yeah. Make it right 360. All right. I was going to ask what your, and you can take this. You can choose either one. Your favorite moment on your show ever, or your most embarrassing moment on your show ever.
That's almost as bad as tell us about a time you pooped your pants.
No. This is good. I got it. And people watching have seen this before, or heard this story before. But real quick, the favorite one is it's too hard. There's too many. There's too many favorite moments. There's a lot of like, especially talking to the military pilots or like future military pilots. I had a really deep, unexpectedly deep conversation on the show with Savannah Rasky, who's actually in training to be an F-35 pilot right now, and we were talking about like, as someone who's got 2 daughters, like what can I help teach them, right? How can I help them be this assertive, inspiring woman that she's becoming, right? But let's go embarrassing, because that's more fun. So I had
my laugh about.
I had Chelsea Smith on the show, now famously the more impressive half of the Chelsea Smith, Josh Flowers aviation power couple. And for those of you who don't know, Chelsea Smith is one of the very few women A&Ps that works on, well, maybe just one of the few women A&Ps. I don't know what the stats on that are, but then she also works on warbirds. Ooh. So she's like almost exclusively a warbird mechanic, works on big heavy metal, P-51s, yaks. She's very famous in the yak circles for being a mechanic there. And had her on the show just for that. Just, I want to be like 100% clear. Not interested in her relationship with Josh. I don't even know if they were dating at the time. Whatever. She was just on the show. And that video gets a lot of comments about her relationship. And I'm always like, you're missing the point. Like, the point is she's this amazing warbird mechanic. Anyway, so she's on the show. We're talking. We're having a great time. And I was drinking a beer, and I had to burp, right? So I went to hit the mute button on, I got this little like thing here, hit the mute, cut away to her camera, mute button, sweet relief, let the burp out. Oh, whoops, the button stuck. It did not mute. And the embarrassing part is that the burp went through my mic, through the internet, all the way to her speakers. She was not wearing headphones like she had been asked to do. And so the burp came out of her speakers and then was picked up by her mic and then came all the way back through the power of the pipes of the internet into my ears. So I got to experience it twice. And that was horrifying. To have burped in Chelsea Smith's ears and then have it come back and hit my audience again, because they heard it twice, right? They heard it the first time when I did it, and then they heard it again when it came back. So that was pretty embarrassing. That was probably the hardest
around the world. Nice.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That tickled me really hard. That was really funny.
I'm
sorry.
There's another.
That's hilarious.
No, there's another one that people in the chat are talking about that I'm not gonna say because I don't. That was actually like just a mistake. I made a mistake on a stream and I said a thing I shouldn't have. And I'm not gonna bring Krueger, Jonathan. I see you there. You're right. That was pretty embarrassing. We don't need to talk about that one because I don't feel like it's fair to the victim of that mistake. So we'll leave that. We'll leave that one alone.
I just had to log into the chat here. I'm gonna find out what's going on.
Trevor.
Okay, I won't.
Well, we could talk about that. Well, I'll tell you that story offline, but we're not going to talk about that.
We're good.
Fair
We're
enough,
good.
Fair enough.
It was an error, but I'll tell you about it privately. Anyway, there you go. That's my embarrassing story. Burping at Chelsea. That's a thing. That's a real thing that happened.
Feels for you, buddy. That's pretty rough.
The comment I was laughing about earlier when you said, ask me a question that I can make a joke about, is one of our last questions. Do you want to ask it, Maddie?
Is it the one I claim dibs on?
Yeah, something you can make a joke about. What are your plans for the future? I mean, if
my plans
take that how you will.
No, I mean, I'd make a joke about it. I don't know. I mean, I am desperately trying to brainstorm an exciting and dramatic 100th episode for SuperAero Live, which is only a couple weeks away. So I better
figure it out, my friend.
Better get that figured out. I think SuperAero is going to change a little bit after that 100th episode. I think we're out of the like pandemic thing, and I want to get back into making other content. So the live thing is going to absolutely stay. It's going to be part of it. It's too fun to have these little like Wednesday night reunions. That's going to stay. It's not going to change. But I want to start making other content too. Get back into just doing other, either maybe as an excuse to fly some more, right? So that I'm hoping will change in the next 3 to 6 months. We'll start to see more varied content on the channel. I got to kind of plan around that. And now that I've said it publicly, it means I have to do it. So it's part of my strategy of admitting it there.
You're welcome.
I am torn a little bit about like pilot wise, like what's next. I think probably IFR is next for me. There is, I mean, I'm hanging around with all these like hardcore bush pilot dudes and dudettes on the National Stoll circuit, and so there's part of me that wants to maybe go do some bush flying and just maybe even like compete once or twice just so I can speak to it better, right? Like as I'm announcing, to have a little bit of like firsthand experience of what it feels like. So that's something that's floating around in my head. A super preliminary thing is so we were talking about flying clubs, right? And one of the things is I'm finding there are a couple flying clubs at my airport now that have more varied aircraft than just like 172s, and so there's some exploration happening there about while I gear up to like figure out what that mission is, right? So it's like, you know, everyone's been basically telling me I have no choice but to build an RV-15 or whatever, right? Like in the meantime, like there's some clubs that could expand the SuperAero fleet very affordably that would allow me to have some more exciting flying adventures. And so that I think is maybe something probably in the next 6 months that might happen, like adding an aircraft. But you know, I don't want to give too much away because as soon as I do, it'll fall through or I won't do it or whatever. But so that's kind of the stuff that's like future, right? Like let's start making more flying content. I've been thinking about like, you know, you guys were talking about you guys do the news, you know, like I think that's a thing that this is a can of worms. I'm not super into like into all the accident content.
Yeah,
that's a whole separate episode.
Yeah, we started actually very early on. We did accidents too within our Midwest Flying News, but we typically we'll search different social media groups for Midwest aviation news, and then we'll search Google and stuff like that for our articles. But we very early on drifted away from talking about accidents unless it was something very, very remarkable that the whole community is talking about.
Yeah, I mean, my take on that is like, you know, it's important to talk about that it happened. I think we were joking about cornfields and stuff. I don't want to like accidentally manifest something or get doxxed or get like attacked. There's a lot of people creating that content though. It's not just that one person. And I think that it is such a fine line to walk. We had an accident local to us here at my home airport recently, and having firsthand knowledge of what went down through like personal connections, and then watching the mainstream media get it completely wrong, but then also watching YouTube get it wrong. You know, and we probably don't have the full story yet either. Like that's the reason why investigations happen, right? So that I don't want to go down that road, but I think it's important to talk about sometimes, right? This is a thing that happened. You're going to hear about this. You should be paying attention to this. Awesome. I think that's something that is, Jim says it's his bedtime. Sorry, Jim. We're running a little later tonight. We're having too much fun. But yeah, I don't know. Like that's a thing. Maybe there'll be some news content. I just want to start experimenting with that stuff more. Just want to start, playing, right? This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the live thing is fun, right? Actually, one thing that my viewers keep asking for is for this show in a podcast format, because it's so long form. They all want to be able to listen to it in their cars to and from work. And I've just like resisted that because I'm like, oh, that's going to take work. And so that's the thing I think in the next 6 months has to happen. It's just like, honestly, it's probably a safety issue. Like if people are loading this thing up like tomorrow and they're driving with like watching YouTube while they're driving, so one of them's gonna get pulled over. I'm gonna get a call from some state trooper like, did you know that you're encouraging unsafe operation of motor vehicles? So yeah, so I don't know.
That's when he asked the trooper, was I driving?
Yeah,
I encourage unsafe flying, not driving.
Right. Wait, what?
Oh,
You heard exactly what she said.
Wait,
You're
what?
a CFI.
Hey, on this podcast, nothing that right now, nothing that I'm saying is can be taken
Maddie's
as
not your
instruction.
CFI. Please
You're
don't
not
listen to her.
paying me, so I can say whatever I want, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
To be a
the thing
CFI, you do not have to be a high moral character. That's ATP only. So
the thing that I think people got to realize too is that like
There's tongue in
You owe
cheek, and then there's reality.
yeah.
But you
Yeah, of
owe
course.
it to yourself. If any of this is like, if you're getting deep enough where you're like trying to like glean how to fly an airplane off of YouTube, that means that you're excited enough about it that you should invest in yourself and actually go
Yes.
learn. Like that, I don't know. That's what I was trying.
100% agree with you.
Oh yeah.
Like you gotta like, come on, this is amazing.
Go get on a discovery flight. Do something. Catch the bug.
Yeah.
Holy
So
cow,
many
there's
of
an
my
idea.
students, I have 9 students right now. And thankfully, as far as I know, none of them know I'm on a podcast, so I can talk about them. And so many of them are like, I've
Until
never done this
now.
before, but oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm like, right? Isn't this like the coolest thing ever? Like, you can't not get excited about this stuff. Like, we do a stall, like I've done stalls, like the first introduction to stalls, and I just get giggles from like half my students. It's like, yes, this is always so much fun. Like, don't get yourself into stalls. Disclaimer: don't just do stalls. Like, unless
It's
you're
just a
practicing. Like,
maneuver.
it's just a
That's
maneuver.
right. It's just a maneuver.
Yeah, I mean, has anyone puked on you yet?
No, thankfully, I have. Yeah, we have successfully avoided that, even in the Kansas winds.
I do
All right,
have a
maybe we
story for
shouldn't
another
fly.
time. I have a puking story for another time. And
Yeah, please don't, Trevor. No.
But hey Jim, can I ask the final question?
There's a final.
I really wish that you would.
You really wish that I would not, or would?
No, go ask it.
Oh,
And then
Are
we
you
can
ready?
get to Ryan's short final and we can see who has the better questions.
Oh,
this-
mine
this-
are not as good as yours. Yours were real thinkers. But anyway, go
So-
ahead. Hit me.
so we have one very important question, and Maddie's answered it, Jim's answered it, I've answered it, and all of our
Turner
other,
answered it.
everybody's
Trevor
answered it.
did
So
answer it.
if you don't do it, you're not in.
No cop outs.
Yeah, no cop
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, no diplomacy here.
Most-
This is just raw.
Most
Yeah.
unpopular aviation opinion. What's your unpopular aviation opinion?
No, you have
wh-
one.
You have one.
I'm trying to figure out like what that
Would you
means.
like a couple of examples?
Like, you mean like what's my hot take? I've been kind of dropping
yeah.
hot takes all over
Yeah.
about accident videos just a minute ago, but no. Yeah, give me an example. Sure, yeah, like what's
I think I went after the FAA's take on mental health. Trevor, what was yours again? I think yours was pilots
his
are
was,
too dependent on
Technology.
technology.
Yeah.
Turner's
Trevor.
Bryon Turner says that being a tailwheel pilot doesn't make you a better pilot. It makes you better at taxiing to the fuel pumps, but it doesn't make you a better pilot.
And looking cooler.
What was mine?
well, Bryon Turner doesn't know what he's talking about
I'm well aware of that.
at all. I mean, here's the thing: like everything you're saying is accurate, right?
It
all
turns
of
out that
those-
it's
Yeah.
we
Like, the
call it
mental
unpopular
health thing is-
opinion, but
I don't know.
it
if
turns
it's-
out they're more popular than we realize.
Yeah, I think those are I think those are maybe unspoken truths, right? Like mental health and the FAA. Like, man, I've heard horror stories about the FAA like coming down on people who are just trying to get their mind right.
Yeah.
And that just breeds fear, and then horrible things
Animosity.
happen, right? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. Tailwheel pilots obviously better, so that's not really anything we need to talk about. What was Trevor's? What was yours?
Mine
Oh,
was
technology.
over reliance on technology. What do I need to learn this? I've got an iPad for that.
Oh yeah, I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
of course I'm going to
Students.
side with you because my cross country solo was spent looking at a sectional chart with an E6B and looking for the line out the window. Like, where's the pencil line on the ground that I drew on the mat, right? Like, so I think the thing that this is a soapbox I've gotten on before. Like, aviation is filled with gatekeeping in a way that is like just so stupid. and it's frustrating all around, and you see it in like really overt ways, right? In the last 6 months, we've had some like bigotry in like aviation YouTube and stuff like that. That's just like totally uncalled for and not welcome. But then like there's and I think it's getting better, but like it's all this. Here's a weird story. I used to listen to like punk music in college, and I went to an Alkaline Trio show. I don't know if anyone knows who Alkaline Trio was. No?
Never heard
All
of
right.
them.
And then opening for Alkaline Trio was this band called Dashboard Confessional. Does anyone know who that was? No. Okay. Old guy on scene. That's fine.
I know
So-
what Dashboard Confessional is.
So Dashboard
You're good.
Confessional is like, oh, like she had blue lipstick and like what? And then like Alkaline Trio is like rockin' punk music, right? And during the Dashboard set, this is a long-winded way to make a point.
That's okay.
But like this guy started heckling him, right? Like it's like a dude with an acoustic guitar singing like sad songs about his ex-girlfriend or whatever. And this guy's heckling him, and he stops, and he's like, "Hey, you got to cut that out because it's all the same scene, bro. We are all in this together. Like, sit down, keep it to yourself. You're ruining everyone else's vibe, right?" And the amount of times, again, long way to tell a metaphor, that I have seen that in like like Warbirds versus Vintage versus Ultralights versus Cirruses. I mean, like whatever, right?
Yep.
You know, the amount of times that I've been on the ramp, like I walked up to a guy with he was flying a Stearman at Fond du Lac Airport. I remember it vividly, and I rolled up in my ratty old trainer Cherokee 140, and I was like, "Hey, like, I'll trade you this thing for a couple hours in that." And I thought that was like a really funny joke. And he was like, "Get real," and like walked away. And I was like, "Bro, like what universe are you on?" Now, jerks exist everywhere, but like this idea of like, oh, like that person doesn't look like me, so they shouldn't be a pilot, or that person flies a different plane. I mean, there's a lot of like wealth gatekeeping in aviation, like all this stuff. And the truth is, right? The truth is, it's all the same vibe. It's all the same community. And if instead of preventing people from participating, we concentrated more, and that's why we talked about the hour, like the OGs, like the OG YouTubers, right? What makes them so special is they're bringing people in, right? And so it's like, well, if we can bring people in instead of exclude them, right? Well, now it's like, cool, like this is all one big happy family. We don't need to worry about like which plane, whatever. I think it comes from a place of fear because aviation is so special, right? It's so precious and special. And so like what do we do with the things that mean the most to us? Is we defend them. Right? I've noticed this as now I'm a father, and like I do stupid things, totally dumb things. I act poorly in the context of defending my children, right? Like literally my wife and I were talking about on the way home from dance camp today with the kids, and I was like, we were talking about the previous dance school we sent our girls to, and it was a crap show, this other place. That's why we left. And I was like, I want to remind us both that their poor behavior led us to not being the best people we want to be either, right? So that's what happens, right? You love aviation so much, you end up putting up these walls to prevent people how to do it, and the next thing you know, airports are disappearing. Headsets are going to cost 3 times as much. I don't know. Whatever has supply and demand, all that stuff happens. So that's my maybe unpopular opinion, is like, we got to stop being crappy. Like, we got to start like loving each other. I don't know. Maybe that's already happening. I just think about like, if we had met at Oshkosh, and all three of us, I almost guarantee, unless you're like not into that, we all would have hugged right after like hanging out for a night. You know, like, man, like stupid Bryon Turner introduced me to Bruno, Fly with Bruno, and like I'm literally in love with him. Like he is like we see each other twice a year. We see each other at Sun and Fun in Oshkosh, and like that guy, like we don't even talk in between. We go to and it's like hugs, and like I can't stop talking about how perfect his hair is, and like it's just this beautiful love fest, right? And that's what it should be.
Yes.
Anyway, this is the thing I say on my Showtime. Dumb Bryon Turner put in the chat. I love you, Bryon. I'm being mean right now to make a point, but you have gotten a hug. 72 Pup was like, I've never gotten a hug. The first time I saw him at Oshkosh, I like hurled my arms around him. You're a liar. No, so just plain silly, right? Bryon Turner, he just used the thing I say a lot of my like hashtag SkyFam. Like it's all one thing. We're one big.
Fam.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah.
I am giving you super long-winded ansers tonight. But
That's
okay.
right.
I'm
We love
probably
it.
I'm gonna cut most of it. It's fine.
yeah, cut all of it. Cut most of it. I don't know. I think the other thing that here's a shorter one. If you don't like that long-winded one, here's an unpopular opinion. Drones good for general aviation.
Ooh. No, that's spicy. That's a spicy take.
That is spicy, and I have to disagree.
But do you want to? But here's why. Here's why. The reason why is it's the same thing. It's the gateway drug.
I don't disagree with you.
So,
And the
I
people
would-
are going
I would
for
agree-
their. Go ahead, Trevor.
I would agree at the gateway with that. I equate it to RC
Yeah,
airplanes.
it's just like RC. It's just
I equate
it's
to
new
RC aviation because that's the gateway. Drone pilots are not real pilots. They are operators of remotely controlled toys.
So
If
I'm
you were
gonna
a
have to
Part
agree
10
on
if you're a
that.
Part 107 pilot, you know almost everything you need to know to become a private pilot.
Yeah.
Like the knowledge
Yeah,
test is
it's easy.
remarkably similar. So
Yep.
that I don't know.
It
Like,
is.
It is.
ooh,
Yeah,
we
that
found
part-
one. We found one.
I know a number of Part 107s. I had my 107 for a little bit. I let that lapse. I just don't actively do it anymore. But the stuff that you have to know for that is remarkably similar. You're right.
But
And
that's
there's
for,
a lot.
That's for commercial operation, though.
And I think
Well, that's
there's a
true.
lot
There's
of good.
There's a separation there.
But I think there's a lot of good things that are being done with those in the realm of public safety, in the realm of some type of. I mean, there's some really cool media things that are being put on with that, as long as they're not interfering with other manned aircraft operations. And I go back to the public safety aspect of it. If you've got, say, a forest fire situation, and now you've got someone knucklehead out with a drone, like our state's resources can't get in there to go extinguish that fire until you get the hell out of there. So that's maybe one of the downsides. But on the flip side of that
operation.
right. But on the flip side of that, if you have, say, a public safety unmanned aerial system operator watching that same fire in a professional take while they're trying to, give direction to those resources, that's a different thing. And that's still a great thing for aviation. It's a great use of those tools. There. Maybe I'm on board with your unpopular opinion.
I just think it's about bringing people in. I think,
Yeah.
I also think as they are less new and as the you're talking about, you're absolutely right about the difference between commercial operations and recreational operation. But I think that as the newness wears off, there's a path there for people to get pumped. I mean, the other side of it, the bad side is, and you can probably cut this out of your podcast, but it's coming out live, so my folks can hear. Like the drone stuff happening in Ukraine right now is absolutely Black Mirror, crazy, terrifying stuff, and we should all be we should just maybe keep an eyeball on that. Just like what they're playing fast and loose over there because they have to, And whoo, man, a little scary.
I'm with you on that one. That stuff kind of scares me, but whatever.
That's a whole separate podcast.
That's a whole separate thing. But
anyway,
So I think that's going to wrap up our part of things.
is this everything you hoped it would be? Did I
This is
do anything
more.
right?
Yeah.
This is
This
more
this
than
was beautiful.
This is amazing.
All right. I hope we can all fly together sometime. I didn't. You guys, in your bios on your website, it says you're all in Minneapolis, but you've all.
We
I can
used to
change
be.
Mine. Sorry.
Yeah, we got to change the website.
Yeah.
Maddie's in Kansas.
so
Trevor's in Arkansas right now. I'm the only one
Trevor's
still
in
in Minneapolis.
Arkansas. Trevor has published several books. Just reading the Bible, sorry. And it looks like he's done some cool stuff in his lifetime. Maddie is not in Minneapolis either. You're
I'm in
full-time
Wichita,
instructing?
Kansas. I do have my degree now, and I know I don't live with my parents. I'm pretty sure that's on the website. I do
So
live
wait,
behind
but
this.
then Jim, are you in Minneapolis? Is this at
Yes.
least this part at least true?
I'm still here. See, some knucklehead put our website together and then hasn't updated it because they're too busy doing other stuff and buying a hangar and renovating a hangar and working on their commercial rating while putting together a podcast. So the website fell by the wayside. I have to update it.
see, in Jim's defense, I still live in Minneapolis. Maddie doesn't anymore. But
You're just on orders.
yeah, I'm temporary duty, so I should be back in 3 weeks or so.
And that's the other thing, we haven't talked about that at all. Just like real, like you're both in the armed service, right? Like Jim, you're Air Force. I wanted to ask you about that.
I was I was in for 4 years and then I got out. So I'm a vet.
And Trevor, you're
I'm not
also
currently
Air
in.
Force?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you're still Air Force.
Yep. Flight engineer, C-130 flight engineer out of Minneapolis Guard.
That's really cool. Do you know a guy named
let's hear it.
Brandon? A pilot named Brandon? I don't know. We shouldn't say his last name on the internet. We can talk about it later.
I know, right? I know quite a few Brandons.
I went to high school with a guy named Brandon, who we used to fight about what plane was better, the F-15 or the F-16. And then we're at the high school reunion. I'm like, oh, hey, man, I finally got my pilot's license. Isn't that cool? And he's like, ha, 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 ha. He was like flying combat, in C-130s.
2,000 hours of flying combats. Yeah, right.
Drops the mic on you.
And I was like, oh, whoops.
Is he guard or is he reserve? That's the one question I have. Because
I don't know what he's doing now. He was active for a while, I think.
So in the Air Force, you have 3 different components. Well, technically 4 if you include Civil Air Patrol, but
People count that? Sorry.
The Air Force technically does. Anyway.
Air Force.
Was that a dig on Jim? Did you do that to him?
No. He agreed with me, kind of. Right.
So the auxiliary component of the Air Force is the Civil Air Patrol, and they do 98% of all inland search and rescue, stuff like that, and all civilians. But you have a reserve component, which actually has 2 different facets on it, which is the Air Force Reserves and then Air National Guard, which is run by the state. So it's kind of like the Army Guard. We have the same parent organization for the state, but we can also be done activated federally. But then lastly, we have the active duty Air Force. Mm-hmm. So that's the ones at Nellis Air Force Base, Little Rock Air Force Base, Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. So I'm Guard. So I'm mostly state funded. So in Minneapolis, we're the Flying Gophers, whereas the reserves are the Flying Vikings. In Milwaukee,
why did the reserves get a cooler name?
Is it really cooler though?
Vikings versus Gophers? Come on.
Well, the Minnesota Vikings, they don't really win a whole lot. So.
Well, no, I'm just thinking about if I didn't know if I was a foreign country and I saw a plane with a gopher on it versus a plane with a Viking on it, I would.
So half the time we get rid of a lot of that stuff. We don't.
Trevor's answering this very seriously.
He's gonna give you the he's gonna give you the real answer.
Right.
I'll give you the real answer. We try to hide a lot of that because Gophers are cuddly. I mean, but we can still kick the socks off Al Qaeda. So
It's true.
Can't deny it.
On him.
yeah, I actually got to ride Moab once. Straddle Moab like a Major Kong on.
I was gonna say you actually got to ride it down.
No, not right down. But we're getting ready to take it off the airplane because the bombs from the Taliban, they were getting close to where we store the munitions in Afghanistan, and I was in Qatar at the time, and it was coming off the airplane, and they didn't really. It was kind of frowned upon, but and then people are drawing like little pictures, kind of like World War II. You have all these little marker drawings on the bombs right before they get loaded up on the airplanes and get dropped. Well, I have my little mark on humanity. Unfortunately, all the nice drawings and greetings from America got magic erased, so it's no longer on there. Sorry, guys. I know.
Clayton in the chat he said MC-130 are better than Slicks.
I would agree with that, but can MC-130s drop Moab?
I guess not. There's too much stuff in the way, right?
Well, Moab's on 3 pallets on what's called a T3. So my previous job before a flight engineer, I was a loader. I loaded the aircraft. MC-130s are a great airplane. Don't get me wrong on that.
I think he worked on those, is why he's saying that.
Yeah. MC-130s are great platforms, but they are also limited, just like regular C-130s are limited. So that's my universal answer. Yep, exactly.
All right, we just started a whole new podcast called C-130s with Trevor and Ryan.
Trevor and
Norman. Should we play short final before we wrap it up? Because we've been doing this. We've been doing this for an hour and a half. Holy moly!
Yeah. Yes. Let's do it.
I feel like we didn't even get started. We should just do this again.
I'm game.
Oh, I'm game for that. That would be so much fun.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow. I'm flying tomorrow and Friday, so
I fly every day except for Sundays.
I'm game though. We should do this again.
Yes,
we'll talk about it.
Let's hear.
Okay. Short.
Bring
final.
it on.
So for the folks, it's the same thing that you guys do. This is concept we do it at the end of the show, and short final. This is a game that we play at the end of every episode of SuperAero Live, where we have our friends answer in a minute. Just a bunch of quick answer questions. They're not as deep. Yours were a little deeper. These are a little more superficial. I will not be putting the clock up because I don't know how to do that with the way we've got this slapdash together, but I do have the music for the viewers at home, so I will play that. Everybody, here we go. It's time for short final with the Flying Midwest podcast. First, I gotta know everyone, north up or track up?
North up.
North up.
I have opinions.
Trevor's track. Oh, division. All right. Next
How
thing.
do I mute Trevor for the rest of the questions?
You can do whatever you want. I need to know what the favorite airport you've ever landed at.
Tangier Island.
Ooh, frick.
Definitely Tangier Island.
Key West.
Superior, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Got a Wisconsin one in there. See?
There you go.
Nice.
Yay!
All right. What about your favorite warbird?
Oh.
I'm going to go with the T6 because we have them all over the place up here, and I just love watching them fly.
If it's not the P-51, it's the it's got to be my dad and I call it the Sand Sifter, the Skyraider.
Ooh, good one. That's a tough one.
Come on, Trevor.
17.
Trevor, come on.
17.
Okay, last one.
Love this.
What about the favorite passenger you've ever had?
My son.
Ooh.
Hands
I
down,
could
my
choose
kid.
between my mom or my dad. How can I do that?
Well, who do you love more?
Yeah. Yeah, which one do you love more, Maddie?
My mom was my first passenger. Okay, my mom.
There you go.
Sorry, Dad. I love you. I promise.
I think we missed yours, Trevor. I think we had some crosstalk.
Yeah, God bless her now, but my grandmother, I took her up for 4th of July fireworks.
Oh,
That was pretty special.
That wins.
Those are big. Those are big.
Mm-hmm.
Those are meaningful flights. Well, dudes, thanks for having me on your show and simultaneously coming on my show.
Yeah, this is a lot
Thanks
of
for
fun.
having us.
Yeah, this was really fun.
We need to do this again.
Yeah, I would love to come on. We can talk more and more about all this stuff. I hope I didn't get too soapboxy. You could just cut it out. Just cut it out of yours. And,
The magic of editing.
The magic of editing. Just edit that all out. No, it's been great to get to know you tonight, and I appreciate, frankly, your persistence, because I've been a little hard to get a hold of lately, so I appreciate your persistence and patience as we got this all lined up. But it's very exciting to do something new. Again, I think literally maybe the first time this has ever happened. Probably not, but let's call it that.
This is groundbreaking stuff here.
Yeah, we're doing
Aviation. It's happened. This is the first time in aviation that we've done it.
Yeah, leading edge type stuff here.
Leading edge. I like that.
That's the pun that broke me.
The fun thing is that there are people who have started watching with us, left to go do something else, and have now come back and are saying,
"What the hell? You're
You're
still going
here? Nice." Nathan Ballard says, "Yeah, you guys are still going."
Must be good company.
What's he saying? I went to bed last night and then I woke up and you guys are still here.
Maybe I should do that for the 100th episode. Is just do
just 24 hours.
24 hours stream. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
we'll come talk to you for a couple hours of it.
Yeah.
We'll
there you go. Join you.
Oh my goodness.
You're gonna be so tired. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh,
You should do
that's
it.
an idea.
Interesting.
That's not the big idea that I have. I'll tell you about that later. I want to blow the.
Keep it a secret
cover
for
on
the
that.
masses.
Keep it a secret.
But that's
Make it a
that's
surprise.
the 24. If we do the 24-hour stream, it'll be because the other idea fell through.
Got
It's not technically feasible. And Zach Sherman's like, yes, long stream. Let's do it. All right. How do you guys wrap up your show? Because I'm technically a guest on your show right now.
Okay,
how do you wrap up your show?
We really thank you for being a part of the podcast. We had a really great time talking to you, and we wish you all the best in the future. So we'll do our little sign off, and then you can do whatever you want after that. We'll just sit around and we'll listen and answer whatever. But,
Okay, sounds good.
So for those of you who aren't followers of our podcast, you can check us out on flymidwest.com. We also have a link tree, which is linktr.ee/Fly Midwest Podcast. We have show notes and stuff that we put in. I'll send it to you. We also have merchandise available on our website as well. If you like our little logo that you've seen on some of Ryan's publicity that he's done in the last day or so. But for us, for the Fly Midwest Podcast, until next time.
See ya.
See ya.
Yep. That's how we end it.
I like that. I'm just going to do that too. See ya.
Yeet.